outraged, outraged, furious. You can just call it whatever you want. You will never find a word that will perfectly describe our reaction as to how the Western media sold this genocide to the people of the West and to the East and to the North and to the South as self-defense for Israel. Take a listen to what he has to say.
Friends, without the Western media, without its lies, its deflections, its airbrushing of the depraved truth, Israel's genocide in Gaza would not have been possible. For no crime in history, no crime, has been so confessed to by its perpetrators, so unapologetically, so shamelessly, so proudly. From the very start, Israel's leaders, they declared that Gaza's civilians were human animals, that an entire nation out there was responsible. As the president of Israel declared, the essentials of life would be cut off, that Gaza would be reduced to a city of tents. They made clear over and over again they were going to wipe Gaza from the face of the earth and wage war against its people. There was no...
And they did it. The genocide maniacs, they did it. They did follow through their words. Every single thing they have said, they have uttered against the people of Gaza, they have done 10 times at least horrible, 10 times more horrible than what they have said they will do. From the very beginning, do not make any mistake, they have fulfilled their promise. Every single word they uttered, this was broadcasted by them. They even today want you and me to be scared of them, to be terrified of them, and they will make sure that if you are not bowing down to them, you will be genocided, you will be murdered, regardless of who you are. A 1-year-old child, 6 months old, 1 week old, 80 years old, 100 years old, men, women, doesn't matter. They are going to annihilate you, destroy you, your family. They will blow up your houses. Everything that you have today will be gone if you do not bow down to their demands, if you do not serve their purpose. This was done on live TV. The first time in history that a genocide was documented the way it was, and it is still going on. It is not over. Don't think it is over. It is still going on.
No better predictor of what Israel would do to the Palestinian people than what they told the world they would do over and over and over again. And yet, with courageous exceptions, the Western media conspired to suppress Israel's genocidal intent while smearing the few with a platform who spoke out as dangerous, hateful extremists, turning the world upside down. That's what they did, and they are complicit in every death and every maiming.
Absolutely 100%. They will cry a river for one Israeli being taken hostage by the resistant forces. They will cry a river. Of course, sometimes they fake it, but they will show you how emotional they become when you take one of the Israelis as captives. But then they will, the same media, they will drink wine of blood for the death of 200,000 Gazans and will feel nothing about it. I'm putting the number 200,000 because it is 200,000, even though media reports, the health authority in Gaza reported 50,000 plus or 45,000, but it is at least 200,000 because there is still a lot of dead bodies under the rubble. The Western media will celebrate these 200,000 people died, and they will cry over one person taken hostage by the resistant force. This is what we are dealing with here, guys. Just let that sink in for a moment and really ask yourself, what have you been watching on TV? Unbelievable.
They did not even try to pretend that they believed Palestinian life had even the smallest fraction of the worth of an Israeli life or a Western life. They deferred to Israeli lies. They airbrushed atrocities. They stripped away all context and started the clock on the 7th of October. They erased Palestinian voices systematically. They muddied the waters. They made false equivalencies. We could go on. Again, we must say it loudly. Without the Western media, this genocide would never have been possible. And look at what they normalized. The destruction of hospital, the slaughter of medics, the annihilation of civilian infrastructure, the mass butchery of children, the deliberate starvation of an entire people, the torture and rape of Palestinian hostages. But meanwhile, the journalists of Gaza, the lions of the world's press pack, the bravest journalists the world have ever seen, who've ever walked the face of this earth, they risk their lives every single day, knowing that every last day, every minute, every second could be their last, not just for them, but for their children and their families, often exterminated alongside them. And yet, in the biggest massacre of journalists in the history of our species, the vast majority of Western journalists couldn't even utter a sentence of solidarity with their colleagues as they were butchered. How dare they? Shame on them.
Two things I want to make mention of. Number one is the comparison of the journalists from the Western media and the journalists from Gaza. One type of journalist, the journalists in Gaza, willing to give up their life to report the truth. The Western media journalists, on the other hand, sitting in the comfort zone in their studios, not willing to even utter a voice of solidarity for the people of Palestine. This is what we are dealing with, guys. This is how degenerate this journalism from the Western media had become. Let that sink in. Number two, Owen Jones, we all know he's not a Muslim. It is not a Muslim issue. Gaza is never a Muslim issue. He showed it to all of us. It is a humanity issue. It is about our survival, our existence. It is what we believe, what is to be true, what is to be good versus what is to be evil. This is an embodiment. This man is an embodiment. He's probably the most honest journalist on this issue. I'm not going to go into his personal life, personal details, but this guy relentlessly spoke out against this genocide. So thank you so much, Owen Jones.
Shame on them forever. And just finally, we must hold all of the guilty men and women to account. In our political elites and our media elites, there are no excuses. There is nowhere to hide. You cannot claim you did not know what was really happening in the first live stream genocide in history. We cannot let them get away with it. This crime is too extreme, too depraved, too shameless. If we do, it won't just be the ruin for the Palestinian people, but the ruin for human civilization as well. Free Palestine!
100%. This is what I also want to leave you with, which is that the resistance must continue on. We must see all of these monsters being held accountable in the court of justice. I'm not going to say anything more because you know how we all feel about those monsters, but just say they need to be held accountable. Thank you guys for joining.